The top 10 films of 1979, yes, the long before, the far away, the before I was born times. Normally I'd say something interesting about the year as kind of like an intro in, but 79 was pretty grim in terms of news, and it's the gateway to the 80s, which was a dumpster fire. At number 10 we have Breaking Away, a American comedy coming-of-age sports film centred around bike racing. It's undoubtedly the best bike racing film you're ever likely to see, alongside all those other bike racing films that you can obviously list off the top of your head right now. Go on. No. This is set in small town America, and there's lots of rich, educated kids who are constantly clashing with the locals. And that's the crux of it. You have one lad who is obsessed with Italian bike riding and his dream of being a biking champion, and his other friends who are played by Daniel Stern, who went on to be famous in Home Alone and other things, Jake Haley, who went on to be famous for playing Rorschach in the Watchmen films and Nightmare on Elm Street. He was the next Freddy Krueger, and Dennis Quaid. It's a great cast of supporting actors who all got more famous than the lead. Poor guy. The entire support cast are fantastic, no less so than the parents of the lead, with the supportive mother who keeps introducing Italian stuff into the family home, much to the chagrin of the good old American dad, who, one of my favourite lines in it is, "I don't want any more of this Italian food, I want something American, get me some French fries." Brilliant. This film is a real joy. It's a really sweet film. It's not reinventing the wheel in any way, shape or form, but it's the way they do it. It's just nice, and obviously you know it's all building up to a massive bike race, and it's a lot of fun.
You know what really gets me though? I mean, here I am, I gotta live in this stinking town, and I gotta read in the newspapers about some hotshot kid, new star of the college team. Every year is gonna be a new one. Every year is never gonna be me.
In number 9 we have Nosferatu the Vampire, directed by Werner Herzog. It is a German horror film, a retelling of Dracula. So you know the story. Jonathan Harker, played by Bruno Ganz, goes over to meet Count Dracula in Transylvania to broker a property deal. Klaus Kinski plays Dracula, much similar to the Nosferatu in Murnau's 1922 silent picture classic. And his Dracula is almost sympathetic, he's pathetic and looks very weak until he flips, and he is feral and menacing. This is a horror film, it's not very scary, it's not very gory, it's just very creepy and atmospheric. The vampire goes back to Jonathan's hometown and brings with him the bubonic plague, because this is a Werner Herzog film, and he's not just going to do a straight Dracula run. No, he's going to mess with the formula. Lucy Harker is played by Isabelle Adjani, who is a fantastic actress, and they do something a bit more interesting with her character. Normally this character is just a damsel in distress for the heroes to rescue. She has a bit more agency in this. In fact, she's the hero of the piece. Van Helsing, Harker, anybody else are pretty ineffective. She's the one who takes agency, she's the one who takes it to the count, and that's why it's just a little bit more special. Also, it's a Werner Herzog film, the ending is very naughty and mischievous, and I kind of love it. Also, if you don't fancy a subtitled film, he filmed it twice, once in German and once in English, The Mad Bastard.
The knife is old and could be dirty. It could give you blood poisoning. Please, let me do it. It's the oldest remedy in the world.
Oh, forget it. It's hardly worth mentioning. Just a little cut.
You know, it's only for the best.
And in number 8, it is The Muppet Movie. It is happiness, pure happiness in celluloid form. I love this film so much. I couldn't put it any higher. A little bit of me wanted to put it at number 1 just because I love the Muppets. This is the story of how the Muppets met. It is a road trip movie from Kermit to Fozzie to Gonzo to Miss Piggy, all the way through America to Los Angeles, where they form the Muppets. There is not much of a plot to speak of. Kermit is being pursued across America by a guy who wants him to be the spokesperson of his Frog's Legs company. For reasons, it's there just to have an antagonist. Don't care, it's brilliant. Everything lands. All the jokes still land like 40 years on. It's crazy. It's just happy. And Animal's still my favourite Muppet.
Smells good.
Yes.
Would you like to taste it first? Well,
I think he's supposed to.
would you taste it for us, please? Oh. Excellent choice. Should be for 95 cents.
In number 7 we have All That Jazz, directed by Bob Fosse. And it's loosely based on his own life, where he was at the same time directing the Lenny Bruce biopic Lenny and choreographing and directing the Broadway production of Chicago. Left himself a little bit burnt out. It's starring Roy Scheider, you'll know him as Chief Brody from the Jaws films. And he gives a powerhouse performance here as a guy pill popping, constantly has a cigarette in his mouth, womanizing, knobhead. There are women in this film who all deserve better than him, but you kind of understand why they keep going back to him. You've got his daughter, his ex-wife and his current girlfriend just try to look after him and see what's best for him, but he's his own worst enemy. You have some wonderful hospital bed hallucination sequences in this where he's on stage in his hospital bed being directed by himself, missing his own lines while people from his life are performing around him musical numbers. I think this film's a little bit ahead of its time. It is something that needs to be seen. And in number 6 we have Being There, directed by Hal Ashby and starring the late great Peter Sellers in his final film role, I think. He plays Chance the Gardener, who is a guy who's never grown up outside the walls of this house. He's the gardener for an eccentric business person who dies. So Chance gets thrown out on the street, and all he ever known about the world was the inside of those 4 walls and what he's seen on TV. He can't survive out on his own, but by chance he bumps into Shirley MacLaine, who is married to an ailing businessman, and they take him in, thinking, because of the way that he's dressed and the way that he acts, that he is just a businessman who's fallen hard on his luck. He then, through circumstances, winds up getting the ear of the President of the United States of America. This is a whip-smart satire on just American politics. It's brilliant. He's never the butt of the joke, that's the thing. This film could have been really mean-spirited, and it's not. It's got a wonderful, wonderful ending that's very open-ended and open for interpretation. I don't want to spoil it here. This is definitely the performance of Peter Sellers' career. He was brilliant doing all the comedy stuff before that. There is a sadness to this that's kind of beautiful and shines through. And in at number 5 we have Monty Python's The Life of Brian. How is this only number 5? It is a crazy year for film, trust me. This is a British comedy and is possibly the best British comedy. It is following the life of Brian of Nazareth, who grew up at the same time as Jesus but is very much different. I think people didn't like this at the time because they took this as mocking Catholicism and mocking religion in general. I don't think it is. I think watching it back, it's taking more shots at British politics than it is at religion. and taking a mick out of the British education system. It's a very British film. It's a very, very funny film, and there's lots of slapstick Monty Python stuff going on. I think it's the most focused Monty Python effort as well. It doesn't flit around like the others. It kind of sticks to the plot. Graham Chapman's brilliant. He holds everything together. It's quote-worthy. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. All of that stuff. It's just great.
Now you listen here. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Now go away.
In number 4 we have Andrei Tarkovsky's Stalker, a Soviet science fiction film, and yeah, this is a film set in an unnamed Soviet location. There has been an event that has happened whereby they have a guy called the Stalker, a guy called the Professor, and a guy called the Writer, who are going in past a military blockade into a place called The Zone to look for a place called The Room. It's one of those kinds of films. Rumoured to be extraterrestrial in origin, and the room that they are looking for is supposed to grant you your heartfelt desire, your greatest wish, and that's what the Stalker does. He takes people into the Zone, but the Zone is a very dangerous place, so you've got to stick with the Stalker, don't go off on your own. This is a slow film. There is a massive difference between boring and slow, but this is slow. It stretches shots out longer than you'd expect. It's also a very beautiful film. The conversations are philosophical, musings on art and literature and all sorts of things going on. It also pulls a Wizard of Oz trick in that the home of the Stalker is all sepia toned, and he only really comes to life in the place that he loves, which is the Zone, the place he keeps going back to. Then it goes into glorious Technicolor. A lot of people think this is one of the greatest films of all time. It's up there. It's really, really, really good. It's just there were 3 films that were better that came out this year.
Они же все поголовно грамотные. У них у всех сенсорное голодание. И все они клубятся вокруг. Журналисты, редакторы, критики, бабы какие-то непрерывные. И все требуют: давай, давай. Какой из меня к черту писатель, если я ненавижу писать?
In number 3, we have Apocalypse Now, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. And this film is stunning. If you get the chance to see this on the big screen, do, because this one is a spectacle. Martin Sheen is given the mission to kill Colonel Kurtz, played by Marlon Brando, who's gone off the reservation somewhere in Cambodia during the Vietnam War, waging his own war. And he's dangerous to the military, so they are sending in Martin Sheen's character to kill him. He goes on, he's sent on a mission on a boat full of a crew full of soldiers, and the further down the river they go, the further into madness they slide. Standout sequences involve the Flight of the Valkyries by Wagner and a set of helicopters bombing a Vietnamese village headed by Robert Duvall. He just wants to bomb this beach because the waves are good there and he likes surfing, and Charlie don't surf. It's nuts, and it only gets mad from there. The thing with this film is the making of is even more interesting than the film itself. Rumour has it Marlon Brando turned up overweight, late, and ripped up the script and improvised all of his lines, and his lines are killer lines in this. It's a stunning performance. It is an arduous film, but it's well worth a watch.
Are you an assassin? I'm a soldier. You're neither. You're an errand boy, sent by grocery clerks to collect a bill.
In number 2, we have Manhattan, written and directed by Woody Allen. In this film, his character Isaac is a comedy writer who is dating a younger lady, but he's kind of falling for his best friend's mistress, All the while, his ex-wife, who left him for another woman, is writing a book about their relationship, which is due to be released. This is a Woody Allen comedy. It's neurotic and witty, but what sets it apart is that it's beautifully shot, more so than most other Woody Allen films. It's filmed in black and white, and Manhattan itself is a character in this film. It's beautiful. There's also a bittersweet sadness to it. All of the characters in it are seriously flawed and the grass is always greener. They're looking at what they could have and not what they've got. My favourite character in it is Marielle Hemingway. This character, she plays a young girl who is madly in love with Woody Allen in some kind of wish fulfillment thing that he's wrote for himself there. But she's fantastic. She's wonderful, innocent, as the thing that you really should realise is on a good thing. From the opening scene with Woody Allen's voiceover over the city of Manhattan and George Gershwin's music playing, all the way through to what has to be one of my favourite closing lines in cinema, "It's a joy."
Isn't it beautiful out?
Yeah, it's really so pretty when the light starts to come up.
Oh, I know. I love it.
Boy, this is really a great city. I don't care what anybody says. It's just really a knockout, you know?
Well, I think I better head back. I've got an appointment with Yale for lunch later on.
And in number one, the greatest film of 1979, it is without a doubt, well, no, with serious doubt. I mean, look at the other films that's come behind it. It's Ridley Scott's Alien. This film is a science fiction horror following the crew of the Nostromo, who get a distress signal and land on an alien planet to find life. I'm going to work on the assumption that most people have seen this, but I'm going to try and not do spoilers just on the off chance. Maybe you've seen the other Alien films and haven't gone back and give this one a go. This film is claustrophobic and it is very tense, very scary. You get to spend a good hour with this crew before the dying starts. You get to really like them and get to know them. It's a wonderful ensemble cast and there's no obvious lead to root for, so you don't know who's going to go next. There's a real threat whenever the alien's about. Again, I'm going to mention Ian Holm. I mentioned him last time in 1997. It's really fun watching this film back and watching his performance, knowing what you know. Again, I'm going to try and avoid spoilers there. The practical effects in this film still hold up. The H.R. Geiger design of the alien and the alien ship still freak me out. It's not been diluted despite later Alien films just not really holding up to this. One of the beautiful things about this film is that the characters are just working class Joes who just happen to get caught up in this situation. They're not, even though it's a sci-fi, there's no high-tech weaponry to fight off this beast. They're cobbling in anything they can to get together to survive. So that makes the characters really relatable. Gotta mention Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley. This was only her second or third film role, and this is the film that made her an absolute star. She's brilliant as the sensible one who wants to keep everyone in quarantine and gets shouted down. So she's definitely the one you want to see survive. This is a well-acted, very tightly directed by Ridley Scott shot horror film that will leave you on the edge of your seat right up until the end.
Come on, baby.
And that is it. Those are the best films of 1979. What do you think? Do you have anything that I've missed? Whack them down in the comments below. Are there any years you'd like me to cover? Go down, go for it. Go down, oh God. Pop them down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and share the video about wherever you want. Have fun. I think it's coming out just before Christmas. Have a Merry Christmas and a lovely New Year. Bye.